Today on CityCast Chicago, how are Chicago's universities responding to Trump's threats of diversity-related funding cuts and prosecuting students for protesting? Plus, City Council approves millions of dollars in police violence settlements, and the Bears win yet another offseason. It's Friday, March 14th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago is talking about. I'm joined by the award-winning reporter from The Tribe, Tonya Hill. Tonya, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, Jacoby. Hey, Brandon. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We've got WCIU TV host Brandon Pope in the building. Pope, welcome back.
What's good? What's good? We outside because the sun is out. But don't be deceived. Still got to have a coat.
Hey, we are happy to have both y'all in the building. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. Where the hell you been for the last 4 years? If this is your first episode of the week, please do me a favor and go crate diving. Just listen to the other episodes from this week. On Monday, we were talking about, is it safe to fly in Chicago? On Tuesday, we were breaking down this big hacking fallout at Chicago Public Schools. Wednesday, we were celebrating Ramadan on the Northwest side. And yesterday, we talked about some of our toxic traits as Chicago drivers. And today, we are bringing in these two amazing people to look back on some key stories from the week. But before we do it, I know I've been talking all year about our celebration of 1,000 episodes. Last Friday was officially our 1,000th episode. Later this month, we're going to do a full week of episode celebrations. We're dropping our massive list of 1,000 things we love about Chicago. And so I had to ask our guest today to contribute something to our ever-growing list. Right now, we have 1,048 things. So there's a chance that what you say is already on the list. But Tony, I'm going to start with you. What's one thing you love about Chicago that you want to add to our list?
Black-owned dive bars.
Oh, I feel like we've had Black-owned businesses. I feel like we've had dive bars, but Black-owned dive bars in specific. Do you have a favorite?
Yes, City Life on off 83rd near Cottage. So it's between like Evans and Cottage Grove. But yes, karaoke night on Thursdays.
Come on.
Every Thursday. It's like a bar that's kind of sunken in. I've never seen anything like that before. So you walk in and you walk down steps to get to the bar. And yes, it's real cute. I like, in this era, I like being with the aunties and the uncles. They still dance.
Come on.
I can get some food in the back. It's a kitchen in the back. And the pour is heavy and the vibes are always right. So
what age is aunties and uncles? Can we define that?
Yeah, for me, it's Gen X and older.
Okay.
But late. Okay. Early Gen X, I would say. So like 60s.
Beautiful.
Yeah, 60s.
Yeah. Because I definitely was going to say it start around 40, 45.
Look, I had a YN call me Unc recently. And I was
not a YN. Nigga said I had a young nigga call me Unc.
I am 33. Chill out.
But it's like, I don't know. See, I have Gen X cousins, but they don't necessarily feel like, they could be an auntie, but but I wouldn't call like people in the 70s uncles, aunties. I would probably lean more towards that 60s age range. Being born in the 1960s, I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah,
like Brandon, I didn't already been called Unc. And so it's I ain't got nowhere to go, but
jarring, isn't it?
Makes
you sit and reflect.
City Life Restaurant and Lounge is in Chatham off 83rd and Cottage, not too far from a Pepe's, from Dad Donut. Next week, we have a conversation about the Greater Chatham Initiative and the Food Lab that's trying to help restaurants, bars, bakeries on the South Side and across the Greater Chatham area. City Life Restaurant and Lounge being one of those. Brandon, over to you. What is something you want to contribute to our 1,000 things we love about Chicago?
It's a tough one because there's so many things I love about this great city. I think it sounded pretty.
Not his alderman pitch.
Best city in the freaking world. I am going to say my favorite thing about Chicago is Siri's Cafe. I enjoy being able to have a full glass of whiskey and a can of pop and only pay $10 for it. I think that is something you don't get in a lot of major cities as big as Chicago, and it's a gem that we need to hold on to. And so that's what I really love the most?
I've actually been to Series that wasn't on the list. I think Heavy Pours has been on the list, but I don't think Series Cafe was on. I've been there with you, Brandon, before. And there really is no way to understate it, y'all. They pour the entire glass full of liquor and then they make a mockery of adding whatever else you want.
Yeah.
I appreciate Series. That's how I pour up when I go to my mom's basement bar. That's how we drink when we go there. It's a whole lot of liquor. Really bit something else. Really bit something else. Most times ain't nothing else.
It gets the job done. That's what it's all about.
If you are somehow hearing about our 1,000 Things We Love About Chicago for the very first time, it's never too late to contribute. 773-780-0246. Leave us a text or a voicemail. We need your name, your neighborhood, and one or, you can contribute 1,000 more things if you want, but one or a couple of things you love about the city of Chicago. Like I said, every Friday, we're bringing in our friends, these critical voices, to break down some very important stories in and around Chicago. Pope, I want to start with you because as the draconian and chaotic presidential administration continues to violently dismantle the federal government, roll back already vulnerable protections for trans peoples and they're erasing any and all traces of diversity, equity, and inclusion to the point that they're just deleting photos where the word gay non-contextually just shows up in the photo. And they have firmly set in their crosshairs the country's universities. And last month, universities in the Chicagoland area, they started getting letters that were threatening funding. Can you catch people up, like what exactly were those, like what were the basis of the threat to pull funding, and how have universities in our area started responding?
Yeah, a lot of it centers around the protests that many campuses saw around the Gaza conflict. Students exercising their First Amendment right to protest their feelings on that. Obviously, a lot of emotions on both sides of the issue when it comes to it. But we've seen the Trump administration go a step further with the Department of Education and say, hey, we're going to take funding away from many schools who they say are, quote unquote, harboring anti-Semitic harassment and discrimination against students on campus and failing to protect Jewish students. And that comes, after we saw all those protests on campus. For context of how much money we're talking here, Columbia University in New York, they're having $400 million pulled from their funding. And that gives us a sense of what we're looking at. Locally, Northwestern got notification from the Department of Education. So did Illinois Wesleyan University. But also other schools have, had to kind of weigh, like DePaul, what's going on, what the state of things are with this anti-DEI wave happening from the top down. I'm president of the National Association of Black Journalists here in Chicago, and we've had to have some conversations around what happens if there's a ban on, quote unquote, race-based programs on campuses. Does that mean there's no more Black student unions? Does that mean there's no more NABJ chapters? Does that mean there's no more Black Greek-led organizations allowed on campus? What the larger impact of that is. And so there's a lot of questions swirling right now about what the future is of education, exactly how these schools can protect their students, if at all possible. I just saw a New York Times article, Columbia University's Jelani Cobb, who does the journalism school over there, he said to his students, we can't protect you from this, which is really chilling and jarring. So these universities here locally, at least, Northwestern, Illinois Wesleyan, they said they're going to review the rules, they're going to follow the law, and they're confident that they're going to be okay. Northwestern for sure has the money, but still, you figure when funding goes away, inevitably something gets cut. And the hope is that programs for disadvantaged students from minority communities, that those are not the first on the chopping block.
The GOP far-right politicians have both co-opted and bastardized diversity, equity, inclusion, turned it into this sort of catch-all term that they're allowed to unload their vitriol towards, to the point that now it's basically a stand-in for calling somebody a nigga.
I'm glad you said that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Telling someone you don't believe that their intelligence, that their skills are hard earned, that you believe anyone who is non-white is benefiting from systems of advantages, despite the fact that diversity, equity, inclusion are a part of the lineage of our attempts to build social protections in a country that does not inherently protect non-white citizens, a country that has throughout its entire history erased, disadvantaged Native, Black, Latino, immigrant communities. And it's hard to not call the attack on diversity, equity, inclusion protections, whether they are recently developed in corporate America, which I always had concerns about it not like representing real attempts to like build equity. However, similar to pieces of legislation that were passed in the civil rights movement, there was always going to need people to enforce these protections. But to see how quickly corporations, universities, and organizations have had to either capitulate to the federal government or have been left in a purgatory period, wondering if they are going to lose funding, if their work is going to be allowed to continue. I can't participate in describing this as anything other than violent, as anything other than supremacist, because again, like you said, Black orgs, the work that Palestinian students, the work that the LGBTQIA organizations that they did to protect students, like in present day, it showed how necessary they were. And the idea that these rollbacks are going to do anything other than further empower the federal government to attack non-white citizens when they speak up, when they use their art to protest, when they are simply trying to exist in a country where securing a job and buying a house is already overwhelmingly difficult. Sonia, I want to bring you in here. How concerned are you for, the hundreds of thousands of young people who go in and out of classrooms every day in our city?
I'm very concerned. Thinking about the graduate student at Columbia, Mahmoud Khalil, just coming home, with his wife and being scooped up by federal officials under, and that they can basically say, even though he is a legal resident because he has a green card,
who had not committed any crime,
nothing. He did nothing. He was just coming home. But to your point earlier about being a leading role on a college campus was speaking out in favor of Palestinian rights and talking about the atrocities that Palestinian people are and continue to face right now during this war. So I'm really scared for them. And even tying it further, I would like to point out we have kind of seen what this would look like, not necessarily at the student level, but thinking about the O'Hare 40 specifically, a group of organizers across different age groups that held a demonstration in conjunction with other organizations all over the world on Tax Day last year. And they were arrested for blocking the intersection at O'Hare. And, then Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx, her office had a policy where they do not prosecute protesters exercising their rights to protest, in a nonviolent way. And that was nonviolent. So she dropped those charges. And then the city of Chicago, the law department, decided to bring up new charges against that group of, organizers. So I feel like that is telling for our city. What will our new Cook County State's Attorney, what will her policy be on protecting free speech and the rights of people being able to speak out against the harms and things that we're facing right now? I'm really curious about that and how also, the city's law department will deal with that.
A Slice of Life is coming to Paramount Theater, the Chicago area premiere of Waitress, now through March 30th. Based on the hit 2007 movie, the music and lyrics are by Grammy Award winner Sarah Bareilles, and to add to their list of accolades, it was nominated for 4 Tony Awards, including Best Musical and Best Original Score. The show is basically about a waitress. Her name is Jenna. She feels very trapped in an unhappy marriage, but she also a talented pie maker. So she finds room to explore her options, her emotions, her situation. Her friends offer her, let's just say, some conflicting recipes for happiness, But real talk, only Jenna can do the soul searching to decide for her, what are the right ingredients for her life. You see what I'm doing. It's about a restaurant, so I'm using some restaurant metaphors. Make Paramount your home for entertainment and get your tickets today at ParamountAurora.com or call 630-896-6666. Use promo code CityCast for $5 off up to 4 tickets. Earlier this week, City Council approved nearly $3 million to settle 3 cases involving the Chicago Police Department and chases that resulted in either death or injury. And they also approved $280,000 to Miracle Boy, a demonstrator who was assaulted by a police officer during a protest in 2020. Tonya, can you remind us what happened to Miracle Boy almost 5 years ago?
Yeah, and thank you for pointing out that it's been 5 years. I was actually out there that day when this protest happened, and there were hundreds of people there it was a solidarity demonstration between Native Americans and Black people. And there were so many speeches, beautiful demonstrations by the Native American community around practices and things that they do in their culture. So there were moments where that was included, and then it included a march. And the police were surrounding the Christopher Columbus statue, and there was just utter chaos. I mean, I did not see personally what happened to Miracle. I saw that later when I got home, but she was, as we mentioned, exercising her First Amendment rights. And as an 18-year-old, also, I want to add, filming the arrest of a fellow protester, making sure that their people knew that they were in custody. She was trying to make sure everything was happening within that person's constitutional rights when a police officer swung at her and the phone bounced back and hit her in the mouth. And the thing that really still gets me is he swung so hard that the impact of that phone knocked, a front tooth of hers out. And she is still 5 years later experiencing trauma from that. She had to go through so many dental surgeries to correct that. I also want to point out, too, that Miracle is an abolitionist, and she was looking for restorative justice peace circles to do with this officer. And this officer resigned before that even had an opportunity to happen. COPA found that this officer committed excessive force, that he lied on reports. The city's law department revealed during the finance committee that he wasn't even wearing a body-worn camera. So we don't even really have his perspective of the incident between him and Miracle. We have it from other officers who were near them. So just breaking a lot of procedural things that police officers are supposed to follow and adhere to. And I just, as a Black woman, seeing a young Black girl be victimized like that, and also at the same time seeing so many people rally around her and support her from 2020 to now, I just hope she feels that. And so many people, stood up and stood in solidarity with her, gave public comments supporting her. As you mentioned, 2 other settlements involving the police chasing other people. So this city has just been spending, taxpayers, I should say, have been really on footing the bill for police misconduct. And it's really unfortunate that that's not changing. We're not seeing any changes with this. Every month there's a new settlement. 2 men, a jury just awarded them $120 million for wrongful conviction. So that's another.
And that's 150% of the entire annual budget for police misconduct. And again, I know people asking, the city setting aside almost $100 million for police misconduct. Yes, that's how often it happens in our city, that when we have budget battles like we just went through, one thing that's not going to be cut, police misconduct budget, because we know we're going to use it. And so I think in this situation, what I really appreciated about Miracle, and Tony, you pointed this out, that there's so many people, I've seen the commentary of oh, well, she ended up getting money, or where the police was fired, for the fact that she could stand in front of you, the victim of the harm, and tell you this was not about the money. This was not about him going to jail or being disciplined. I actually wanted him to participate in what I believe is a much more productive process that can end up with us in better understanding and me feeling like I got justice and him understanding and truly taking accountability for what he did. But that's not what our system is. It's about telling people they're bad apples, cutting these checks when necessary as your own form of justice. This coming to an end after 5 years, it still leaves that feeling of this isn't the system that we want. And so we'll drop a link to your story in our show notes. I'm happy that for Miracle, I hope this is one of the last times she has to talk about this particular incident in front of city council and on camera in that kind of way. But yeah, like you said, this isn't the last time we're going to be talking about a police violence settlement, probably this month and definitely not this year. CTA recently announced that they're going to be improving service, speeding up the frequency of buses on some of the most busiest lines across the city. Pope, me and executive producer Simone Ali said talked about this a little earlier this month, and we were skeptical, but can you remind people about exactly what CTA is trying to accomplish and when we can expect the buses to pick up?
Absolutely. Well, I must add, I am a proud commuter and writer of the CTA. They call me Blue Collar B. And so they do.
Yeah, right.
They do.
Then I'm just like, yeah, I see why they called you Unc.
Yeah. I'm a man of the people. Okay. So you may see me on the CTA bus. And yeah, these wait times are crazy. Waiting 25, 30 minutes for a next bus to pop up, it's just not feasible sometimes. So the CTA has an effort to reduce wait times on the CTA buses that they are kicking off on March 23rd. It's called the Frequent Bus Network, which should just already kind of be a thing. But hey,
that should just be how the system works. But hey,
either way, whatever.
It's an easy name.
They are striving for wait times no longer than 10 minutes on 20 popular city routes by the end of the year. They're going to start with 8 on March 23rd. Frequent service from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends. The most popular of those, that J14 Jeffrey Jump, which is one of my favorites.
I have been on the J14. My homie ride the J14 to come to the crib. My brother use it. It's probably the most used line in my whole family.
Yeah, it's reliable. Also, 34 South Michigan is a big one, 79th Street and 47 Street. Those are big ones that are going to be part of that wave on March 23rd. A lot of people take those. The need is great, and the wait times sometimes are nonsensical. So I'm really excited to see how this is pulled off, if it's successful, because we need good public transportation to come back. I really do think a thriving city like Chicago needs a really good public transportation infrastructure to keep thriving.
True. We need good public transportation. We also need good public libraries. Tony, come in here. My childhood library, the Carter G. Woodson Regional Library, is celebrating its 50th anniversary all year long. Why is this such a big deal?
Well, I think it's super important. Number one, Southside treasure.
Come on.
And also this was, according to Atavia's story in Block Club, this was the second regional library to open within the Chicago public library system and the only one of its kind on the South Side when it opened in 1975. So just thinking about that, I had no idea that was the case, but it is such an important treasure. I think libraries as public schools are more than just buildings. They are places where people come and vote. They are places where people can come and just a safe space for them to be, whether that's reading, learning a new skill, taking a class, learning some crafts. And specifically at the Woodson Library, the biggest treasure to me is the Vivian G. Harsh Research Collection on the first floor. There's just like a very large collection of African-American history. And she was also, I believe, one of the first library directors for the Chicago Public Library, Black woman.
The first Black library director at that.
Right. So if you haven't been in the Harsh Research Collection, that area, it's just, I don't know, it's something about just being up close and personal with Black history and her records, everything that she did during that time. And, you were speaking about DEI earlier. There is this, Brandon too mentioned it, this kind of push to silence and silence the contributions of different organizations and groups and erase. And I just feel like we should just love on our libraries a lot more, and especially our librarians. They are so helpful. I can't tell you the number of times, specifically at this library or even the Harold Washington Library, where I have been trying to find something specific in those archives, and they have been really gracious and walked me through it. But to get into the design, I really always love the design of the Woodson Library. I'm very into the postmodern era. So, named after the father of Black History Month. It's just a really important thing. And I think right now this time is calling us to read more.
This weekend, they have sort of their normal library events going on. They've got the art studio on Saturday, where they're going to be helping people build their own self-portraits. They've got a chess class on Saturday. Every month on the 19th and 20th, they do their 50th anniversary celebrations. This month, they have a resource fair on the 19th. And then on the 20th, you can join them in making a 50th anniversary tote bag from 3 to 5 p.m. We will drop a link to the Carter G. Woodson Regional Library in our show notes. And I think when I think back of the first library I ever went to, I'm almost certain that is the library my mother took me and my siblings to like rent like children's books. And so shout out to 50 years. And if you can participate in their celebration in any way, even if it's virtually, they are collecting stories of people who have visited the library over their lifetime. If you have pictures of the library, they're also collecting those as well. So again, check the show notes and see how you can participate. Every single episode of CityCast Chicago ends the same way, with me begging you to bring your ass back for the next episode. But before I do that, some good news. Pope, I want to start with you. I feel like we do this to ourselves every offseason, especially the last few Bears fans. We get excited because it feel like we've been winning the offseason the last couple of years. And I think this one, like last year when we had first round pick, Hard Knocks, I was out my body a little bit. I was overly excited. I was predicting 8-9 wins in this month, double-digit wins. But now, if you thought last year was bad, after this week, I might be worse this year. Pope, what did the Bears pull off this week?
Yeah, they won the offseason again, but maybe this time it's legitimate because Ryan Poles, the GM, he was cooking. He said, you know what? We need some offensive line help. Caleb Williams sacked the most time of anybody else in the NFL, 68 times, a league high. That's crazy, okay?
Yes.
So he said, you know what? We're going to get some new starters. And that's exactly what he did. He picked up Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, and Drew Dallas on the offensive line. Big helps beefing up that protection for Caleb Williams. He's a young quarterback. He got a brand new head coach. You would think this would lead to more success for them offensively, but hey, he didn't stop there. He also beefed up the defensive line, adding a really dynamic young defensive tackle in Grady Jarrett, a great pass rusher who has had some injury trouble, but he is confident that he's healthy. He's going to be back. And he be talking some mess.
I loved Jarrett's intro press conference, and he talking about how much being a nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award has meant, how much that has given him an opportunity to learn about Payton's legacy, how he feels he's coming into the building already excited to be in Chicago, to play for the team. Absolutely amazing. I mean, going out and getting champion offensive linemen, doing a mix of young and veteran players, I really think it opens up what you do with the 10th pick in the first round.
It does. It does.
I think this is exactly what Bears fans needed to feel some excitement, to give us that shot in the arm, to forget all of our woes. I waited till the back end of the season last year to pull up to Soldier Field. I think this is the year I might be there for the home opener and ride the optimism at its absolute highest peak. I want to hear from listeners. Am I doing too much yet again? You've been listening to the podcast for 4 years, and I've pretty much been capping for the Bears all 4 years. Do I need to slow it down this year? Give me your name, your neighborhood, and your thoughts at 773-780-0246. Over to you, Tonya. You got a few pieces of good news for us. Let us hear it.
Yes, I was named a Studs Terkel finalist among a really really great group of other journalists. So that's amazing. It is really good to be celebrated for your work and being recognized by my peers. It always feels good. So I'm excited about that. Brandon was talking about the weather. Yes, sun, we need it. So it's been really good to just get up, and go out and experience the sun, basically.
Much deserved. When I think about top tier journalists in the city and those who aren't just walking a narrative line, but truly just standing for truth, that's you. You killing it. Keep it up.
Thank you,
We
Brandon.
got you.
Absolutely amazing. Shout out to Public Narrative, who is the organization behind the Studs Terkel Awards. I'm very happy that not only Tonia, but Alejandra Cancino was another Studs Terkel Community Media Award winner. Both of you have been so important. Also, folks like Mauricio Pena from Borderless Magazine. And so really excited for all of the winners. And like Brandon said, Tonia, we go back. Chicago is lucky to have the number of newsrooms it has, but I think it is important for all of us to know that each of these newsrooms in their own way is fighting tooth and nail to survive, to be here for another day, another year. And I know the tribe, wouldn't be where it is without your diligence.
Thank you. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah, definitely a time to support local news. We are in, again, unprecedented times. So we really definitely could use the support all around, but for sure.
And then I know you also got a birthday in your miss.
Yes, my oldest goddaughter, Parker, just turned 6 yesterday. So I wanted to do something special and just wish her a happy birthday on the airwaves. Parker is a beautiful, kind, funny little girl. And I just wanted to tell her happy birthday, Parker. I love you so much. And yeah, I'm really grateful that she is who she is and that I get to see it.
Happy birthday, Parker, from the entire CityCast Chicago family. Sending you a whole bunch of love. I will round us out today with some good news. First and foremost, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody over at Welcome to the Show, a live variety talk show that took place at the Getaway earlier this week. The host is Derek Bish. It also featured comedian Sam Roca, Dairy Queen, and Al Scorch. Thank y'all for the invitation. Thank y'all for having me. It was such a beautiful time. If there are any new listeners from Welcome to the Show, welcome to CityCast Chicago. To the listeners of the podcast who showed up to the event, who stopped by to say hi, talk a little bit, it means the world to us. Thank you. Always remember our line is open for your episode ideas if you want to add things to our list and our guides. It was one of the most Chicago nights I have ever been to. You walked into this bar just to walk past everything into a back room where somebody is hosting their own type of variety show. It was a very Lincoln Square Chicago kind of night, and I'm glad I got to be there. And then one more piece of good news. I woke up yesterday to the news, Ravinia's lineup, which I'm really excited for. I have been to Ravinia for the last 2 years now, and I saw the Roots last year. And then the year before that, I saw Lauryn Hill. And now I'm back at that point where for the next few months, I'm going to be twiddling my thumbs trying to figure out who is the person do I make my way up to see. You got the Roots again this year. You got Grace Jones and Janelle Monáe. Nas is going to be up here performing with Chicago Symphony. And so that's just a few of the choices available. I will drop the full rundown of shows in our show notes. Please, please, please join me in thanking our guest today, WCIU TV host, Brandon Pope. Brandon, thank you for stopping by, my friend.
Always happy to be here, bro.
And one of the 2025 Studs Terkel Community Media Award winners from the tribe, Tonia Hill. Always good to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And congrats on 1,000 episodes. That is amazing.
Before we get out of here, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who makes CityCast Chicago possible. Our executive producer is Simone Alisea. Our producer is Michelle Navarro. Our Hey Chicago newsletter editor is Ava Winowski. Our roving producer this week is Lizzie Goldsmith. Our roving newsletter editor is Natalia Aldana. Our social media manager is Rick Homuth. The music we all love is from Sam Thousand, All the Kimonos, and Mark Greenberg from the Mayfair Workshop. I know I get a ton of credit for this podcast, but all of these people, including the people back at headquarters, deserve so much more of the credit and the attention. Remember, our inbox is always open to you, 773-780-0246. We are going to start doing monthly episodes where we're answering listener and reader questions, reading your comments, sharing your love, your critiques, but we need y'all to help us make this episode a reality. So please, 773-780-0246. We're going to be back bright and early on Monday. We will talk to you then. Peace.